Please enjoy this pre-recorded Mission Moment session so you can learn more about what your generosity has helped us to achieve for our children and families.
We're really happy that you could join us today and we can share some progress. We'd like to spend a few minutes just sharing the great things that you've made possible at PG Chambers School, and then, as Kathleen said, open up things for discussion. So it's certainly no secret this has been a year like none other. The media has been full of stories about the risks, the need for and the risk to send kids back to school, particularly our kids. In fact, I Googled articles about special needs kids and COVID, and I stopped counting at 24 pages and 240 articles. Most of them are quite alarming, and yet we know it's our responsibility to balance the risks with the needs of our kids and the safety of our kids and our wonderful staff. That always comes first. And of course, at PG Chambers, this is what we do. This is a shot of teacher Kimberly and one of our students, Aubrey, and you can see the personal protective gear here, and just imagine what it must be like. You've all had experience with masks and covers, and imagine what it's like to teach all day long wearing gear like that. So really hats off to our great staff for all the hard work they're doing and how they've risen up to this. Our team has really stepped up to the challenge, working to educate our kids safely and continuing to discover the unique potential within every child. As you know, one of the great things about PG Chambers School is the close working partnership among our incredible faculty and staff, our parents, and our current and former trustees, and our community of friends like you. This partnership has enabled us to rise to the occasion and make the necessary changes in our operation because of COVID. And while many things have changed over the years, some things have not, and that's the passion and commitment of serving our children and families. That continues to drive us to overcome any obstacle and fulfill our mission to our kids. And I'm truly honored and humbled to be working with such an amazing group of people. In the month ahead, you'll be receiving our new annual report, which will highlight some of the impacts that your gifts have made, your gifts of time, talent, and treasure that benefit our children. Your leadership has inspired over 800 donors to give to PG Chambers this past year, totaling $714,000 in contributions to support our program work. 3 families included PGCS in their beneficiary of their estate plans, resulting in legacy gifts of more than $786,000. Now, although these gifts are permanently restricted and only a small portion can be used annually, they help us continue to ensure the long-term well-being and success of our organization. And we couldn't be more thankful for these kinds of gifts. But we all know the challenges are far from over. Like so many organizations across the country, especially schools like ours, COVID will continue to test our resources and our resolve. And I won't try to minimize the impact that COVID-19 has had on us and continues to have on our work and our resources. But I can assure you from personal observation, we're not just surviving, we're rising up to the challenge and continuing to thrive. We've accomplished a great deal thanks to our generous community of friends. And of course, there's always more to do when the challenges continue. But your ongoing commitment to our school energizes all of us. So thank you for your continued support and partnership, and of course, for your wonderful contributions to the school as board members. So now it's time to hear from some of those great team members I talked about that make all this possible, and hear about the great things that are happening at PG Chambers and what's ahead as we navigate these unprecedented waters. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Executive Director, Patty Sly. Patty?
Thanks, Jerry, and welcome everyone. It is so good to see you all. Thanks for taking the time this morning. It has been an unbelievable year, and when I look back at the last academic and fiscal year, it's hard to believe that 8 months of it was without the pandemic. But boy, it's been a ride. But we've accomplished things pre and post COVID. And certainly with the pandemic, we've all redesigned our lives and our work in ways we never could have imagined. So you'll see some of that today. And our school team has come together with incredible strength and purpose, and I couldn't be more proud of them. And you, as critical members of our donor community and leadership, make the excellence of our work possible. I mean, you know that tuition and fees allow us to do good work. But with philanthropy and community support, we're able to take our work from good to great. And here, in the slides to come, you'll see a little bit about how your generosity has been put to work this year. Unrelated to the pandemic, philanthropy has helped our students have more effective experiences through facility and equipment upgrades. We've had a growing number of kids with visual impairment and kids who are deaf or hard of hearing. And so we've needed to make their environment more appropriate for them. We've installed light filtering shades in the classrooms and treatment spaces, and that's what this is showing. And instead of having Venetian blinds that have the slats that can cause glare, that can sometimes be difficult to look at, we've installed these across the classrooms. My remarks just went away. Why don't I have these memorized? I don't know. Also installed new sound amplification systems in 5 classrooms and acoustic dividers in a number of the classrooms to help buffer the sound issues that can arise in any classroom. We've installed cameras and panic buttons for security upgrades, which now meets the national standard for safe schools. And we've spent a lot of time working on making better use of our limited space. We've redone and re-equipped the mini motor gym. One of the key elements in that is to put down carpeting that's noise absorbing and industrial strength, of course, but also mobile storage units that help put away some of the clutter, but also allow us to rearrange the room as needed. We've relocated early intervention out of the library and music out of the lobby into newly renovated space. The before isn't actually a before, it's during construction. So we really weren't using that space when it looked that way, and the after hasn't been moved into yet. So we're still in the process there, but that's going to be a huge advantage for us. And then we've updated the library and resource room with some cosmetic improvements, but also with beneficial improvements by adding the roller shades and sound absorbing carpet. And we're now seeking grants for furniture and equipment to finish off the project. But probably our most important programmatic expansion this year, and it's a great example of going from good to great, is our expanded powered mobility program. And through menus and some private donations, we're about halfway on the funding of that project. Just yesterday, we got the first new powered mobility chair for this program. And well, it looks, you maybe can't completely tell, but you should see that it has a lot of stuff on it. And because it has every adaptation that's available to our students, and what we are allowed to do is introduce powered mobility to our students, help them select what might be appropriate for them, and then let them practice so they can become proficient. The staff couldn't have been more excited. You'll see the balloon on the chair. It says, "It's a boy." They named it Sunny because it's yellow. And they're just so excited to literally roll it out to help our students achieve greater independence. And it's a great motivator as well for therapy. When a child can use a head array to get themselves electronically from one end of the room to the other, what could be better? We've also been investing in professional development. Our staff has had the great opportunity to benefit from the Patty Chambers Professional Development Fund. 23 staff members have benefited from nearly $50,000 as they've sought specialty certifications, conferences, and degrees to enhance the work that we're doing here. And we're also investing in future professionals. We hosted and mentored 67 undergraduate and graduate students in nursing, the therapies, and education. Of course, having them on site was cut short by the pandemic, and we can't wait to have them back in the building. But so much has changed due to the pandemic for students across the country. You all know that, but I know you also can imagine the extra challenges that students with special needs face. The remote learning, the extra isolation, communication and movement challenges, therapy challenges, and all of the extra family supports that are needed as the children have their learning and therapies in their homes. So we knew we needed to do everything in our power to get our kids back on site as soon as it was safe. And the irony is that while the debate raged in the media all summer about whether it was possible to return safely in the fall, we reopened all our programs to in-person services in July. Your generosity helped us do that quickly and effectively, from purchasing upgraded technology and lots of personal protective equipment, to facility upgrades, including sneeze guards, a creation of an isolation space, HVAC cleaning and filter upgrades, and to the implementation of an intensive cleaning and sanitizing protocol. It was all done quickly, but very thoroughly and effectively. In all this year, you've helped us serve more than 900 children in all our programs: the school program, Kids Count, early intervention, and community services. Probably the most challenging program to make these changes in has been our school program. So we're going to highlight that this morning, and here to share that with you is Heather Gilliland, our school principal. Hi, Heather.
You're on mute, Heather.
I'm so techie. I'll start over. Hi, everybody. And Betty, I just wanted to tell you, I am the school principal. I think you're the only one on the screen that doesn't know me. So I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you.
And on behalf of all the students that I get to see every single day, thank you all for your support. The pandemic has certainly challenged all of us to find the simple joys in every day. And here at school, the children bring joy and smiles to everyone whenever we see them. I smile when I think of one of our middle school students, Steve, proudly wearing his mask as a model for his classmates. Of course, when we went to take the picture, Steve had to take the mask off. But soon after hearing all the compliments he received for wearing his mask, the other students followed his lead and increased their own mask wearing. This opportunity built Steve's self-confidence and helped him exercise his unique ability to be a positive influence and to support our can-do approach to working together. As Patty mentioned earlier, due to the safeguards put in place to prevent the potential spread of COVID-19, we can't have any visitors to campus. And there have been many, many changes introduced to foster the health and safety of children and staff. Our staff all look a little bit different as everyone's wearing masks. They're often either wearing scrubs or those beautiful t-shirts that we've purchased to cover their clothing. And many are wearing face shields, certainly every time they're doing close-up work with our students. And of course, they're wearing gloves. Our building has also changed significantly. We've created one-way hallways that are marked for social distancing with those cute little smiley faces. And we're limiting student movement through the hallways and all of our shared spaces. Students and staff no longer mingle with their friends from other classrooms. We've created classroom suites, which have forced us to reduce the number of classrooms by half, because for every 2 classes that previously shared a bathroom, we now have 1 classroom, 1 class using that bathroom, and adjacent to that, a therapy suite, which is primarily used by occupational and speech therapy. Our class sizes have also been reduced. And we've created alternate scheduling to minimize the number of students on site on any given day. We opened extended school year with 5 full days of school. We had 38 students on site. But we knew, because we ensured everyone's safety, because we created the order that made opening possible, we knew that we would have more parents comfortable sending their children to school in the fall. We knew that we would have more families on site in September. So we began September with A-B grouping, because we now have 62 children on site. We had 60 coming in September. And so with that beginning, every child had the opportunity for 2 days of on-site services and 3 days of remote services. And our remote services are not videos and films. They are live interactions with our teachers and our therapists. Because we have been able to successfully bring our children back, we've added a third day for our 4th through 8th grade students. And just this week, we have added a third day through for our K to 3 students. The first week in November, we are scheduled to bring our preschoolers in for a third day of on-site services. And we're proud to do that with full day of on-site services, continuing to offer the option for families that choose it to remain fully virtual. We are also offering for those fully virtual children on-site therapies, during which students come in and they see only their therapist and they leave from a separate room. Our specials, health, phys ed, music, and art are all virtual. Because that also allows us to limit the amount of adults and other personnel that are working with multiple students. As Patty mentioned, we have no student interns in the building. Our nurses see students in the classrooms whenever possible because you see our nursing director, Janet Mikulowski, there on screen. They have done an amazing job of organizing isolation areas for students that present with any symptoms of illness while they wait for their parents to pick them up. And our teachers and therapists are working hard to provide both on-site services and virtual services. You can see Benji and Ella working from home virtually. And we are working very, very hard to provide families with all of the adaptive equipment that they need in order to foster that success. And despite the many changes, we continue our commitment to excellence in all that we do and our commitment to finding joy in every single day. So we have a video to show you. And this will help you really see those changes that I've just described. So here I am greeting all of you to see just how the day begins for our children. This is Courtney coming up. She greets the parents who drop off. And this is Judith, one of our nurses, showing you her thermometer. All of the students have their temperature taken as they arrive. We all, as staff, also need to check in for safety screenings. You'll see one of our teacher assistants, Pat Butis, greeting me. We each fill out a safety screen every single morning, and we have our temperature taken. We also have incredibly large bottles of hand sanitizer at each of our doors, and that is a requirement for us as we enter and leave the building. I am greeting you now by saying hello to Nancy and just affirming that we continue to have the friendly greetings that we've always had. This is one of our teachers and one of our students. And this photo was taken before COVID. They're not masked. Here we're demonstrating, and you will see the social distancing in our classrooms.
Marie, good job. R. The letter or the word read starts with the letter R. What sound does R make?
This was also taken pre-COVID. Another opportunity to see the way we've marked the classroom for social distancing. We've continued our routines. The students are engaged in their morning movement routine, as you can see.
You are dancing, and so is Hannah. Maddie, stand up on your zone and dance. You got that whole
These are middle school students. They have their zones marked. We mentioned that art, music, phys ed, and health are delivered virtually. Our teachers do come into the building, but they see the children through virtual instruction, which also mandates that we send a lot of supplies both to our classrooms and home for this component of the instructional program. And we'll see a little clip of Marcy teaching both on-site students
Good.
and virtual students. So there are students working with Marcy on the screen. There are students obviously in the classroom, which has been a whole new learning curve for all of us.
Rectangle. A rectangle. We're gonna make a big rectangle in here. A big long line.
And this is Patrick, our phys ed teacher.
Guys and girls, awesome job for the warm up. Getting those little movements in so that we are all warmed up. Our bodies are ready to move some more and do some soccer. So for today, we are going to add on a new game for us. If you would like to try it, it is a lot of fun. And if you'd like to try it, if you have everything you need, let's go for it. But if you don't feel like you're ready yet, or you want to feel like you need to work on kicking and passing some more, totally fine. But I'll show you the game. It's really straightforward.
Very close.
Hi, I'm Holly Schultz, the Director of Physical Therapy. Our therapies, physical, occupational, and speech, complement our instructional program and help our students reach their goals. Here are a few video clips to show you what we're working on. Here comes Ava. Up, standing. Ready? Here we go. Coming down the stairs. Coming down the stairs. Hi ho, Dario. She's coming down the stairs. Can we go back up?
Yeah.
Go, Miss Ava, go. Go, Ava, go. Go all the way up. Tell me. What are you going to go get? You're going to go get the duck?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Quack, quack. Quack, quack. Where, oh, where? Where is the triangle? Come on up. Find me the other triangle, Leah. Where is it? Beautiful. Can you put them together? Beautiful.
What are you doing?
Can you
Over here.
comment with using your iPad?
Want to tell them what you just did? We'll do it together.
I went to speech therapy.
Ready? I. Good job, Jay.
Okay.
Matthew, how do you feel about being able to come back to school?
Good.
Feeling good? What's been your favorite part so far? Being in the building? But what's been your favorite part so far? You get to see our faces. That's sweet. Thanks, Matthew.
Yes.
Tanea, how do you feel about being back in school?
It's good.
It's good. You being back in person?
Yeah.
What's been your favorite part so far?
Using the computer on cooking. I did PG Cambridge School and I like PG Cambridge School and my teachers and my friends. Hi, favorite friends are perfect. It is perfect.
Thank you for joining us on our virtual tour. We hope to see you in person in the future.
So We are so strengthened by your continued support. And one of the magic pieces of this whole process, in addition to those magical children, is the strengthened partnerships that have developed with families. A current parent of PG Chambers School, Christine Michelli, you can see the family there, quotes, "When we first learned that Tyler's education and therapy programs would be completely virtual and or limited, we were in shock, and the initial adjustment was hard. But the partnership with the staff at PG Chambers School was great. Tyler's younger brother became a pseudo member of the class, and it was a nice bonding experience for them. As two working parents, Mark and I do not typically get to see the therapy sessions and the whole school day in action. And that was a wonderful benefit to an unfortunate situation. People say it takes a village, but it's so much more than that. The level of collaboration and communication among the staff members is unbelievable, and we got to witness it firsthand. We now have a better understanding of what impacts the whole education process and how Tyler learns and navigates throughout the day, and how we can incorporate various teaching tools and therapy techniques with Tyler, allowing for greater consistency between home and school. Our staff have also shared many wonderful partnership stories, and everyone knows that those partnerships are what truly makes PG Chambers School a family. It's the partnership with all of you, the partnership with our families, and the partnerships among our staff. And I'm happy to be part of this wonderful village. I'd now like to turn the microphone over to Abby Horowitz, PG Chambers School trustee and parent of one of our students.
Thank you, Heather. My daughter Jillian started at PG Chambers School shortly before her 4th birthday as a pre-K student, and today she is a few weeks shy of turning 10 and is in the equivalent of 4th grade. On Thursday, March 12th, our world was turned upside down when we found out that PG Chambers School would be closed the next day to prepare for virtual learning. We quickly realized that Jillian would not be going back to school anytime soon, and within 5 days, PG Chambers School was up and running with a robust virtual program for our students. Like all parents, my husband and I had to figure out a schedule that would work for our family and Jillian. Overnight, we transitioned from being just mom and dad to being teachers' assistants, therapists, and full-time caregivers. Like so many students at PG Chambers School, Jillian is a big ball of energy and needs constant supervision. And as dual working parents, we also needed to maintain our jobs to pay the bills, all while trying to ensure that everyone stayed healthy. As you can imagine, this was no easy task. When virtual school started, we were thrilled to have a built-in activity for 4 hours every day. Jillian loved going to school. It was new and different. She was allowed to go into a new room in our house set up exclusively as her classroom. She got to see her teacher, Laura, her one-to-one aide, Diane, and her friends on a TV that we linked to a computer, so everyone was larger than life. On the weekends, she was confused as to why she couldn't go upstairs to the classroom to say hi to Laura and her friends. I think she was thinking they were living upstairs. And even this morning, when we were trying to get Jillian to go to the car to go to school, she told us, "All done, car," while she was running towards the stairs to go to her home classroom. As the weeks passed, virtual school began to lose its novelty for Jillian, but the teachers and therapists persevered. They are superheroes. Under normal circumstances, they're tasked with engaging and teaching students at various abilities and needs, and they have to adapt the same lesson to reach each student on their own level. In any given class, there may be some students who are verbal or partially verbal, like my Jillian, some who use a device to help them communicate, and others who use an eye gaze program. Our superheroes had little time to figure out how to transition this to our virtual world. And the teachers and therapists were not only teaching our children, they were now teaching the parents, as we had to become active participants in our children's daily education. I became a student again, and my eyes were truly open to the work that PG Chambers teachers and therapists do on a daily basis. I learned new techniques for engaging Jillian as we worked on different activities and therapies. In morning meeting, we learned that Jillian knows the Pledge of Allegiance. In OT, we learned how Jillian loves to play Pop the Pig and Connect Four, and in speech therapy, we learned to clap out syllables and sentences for Jillian. Of course, it was not all roses, and there were definitely days when we felt like we all hated school. So when PG Chambers School opened the opportunity for Jillian to attend in person over the summer, we were first in line. Once again, the staff quickly transitioned its program for both in-person and virtual learning and therapy. It was great for Jillian to be back in school, but I was definitely filled with anxiety the first few days. Were we making the right decision for Jillian? Would everyone stay safe? But my husband and I knew that if the staff believed they could open PG Chambers safely, then it would be a safe place for Jillian and her friends. But it was still a scary idea after months of keeping her safe in the confines of our home. The road ahead is filled with uncertainty, but we are grateful to the PG Chambers staff continue to do everything possible to keep our staff and students safe. Although I do have to admit, I'm secretly hoping that we continue to add more days in person to the hybrid model so that Jillian can be back to her normal, even if the world around us is anything but. But we know safety is a top priority, and we're grateful for the thoughtful planning that has informed the school's decisions as we navigate this new normal together. So thank you to everybody here today for your generous support. Your generosity has helped to create an exceptional learning environment and a safe and loving home for Jillian and for all of us and the families. And Jillian would not be who she is today without the hard work and dedication of her teachers, her therapists, and her one-to-one aides. And your investment in PG Chambers School gives students like our daughter the opportunity to engage in her community and prepare to live a full and productive life. So thank you for that special gift.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah, Patty Chambers is applauding. Our hearts are all with you right now and always, but we really appreciate your taking the time to share your thoughts and your experience. And we love that you share Jillian with us every day, and she's a joy to have in the school. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was just going to say thank you, Abby, so much for sharing what you did. And as a working mom, you know, it's really difficult for a lot of working parents right now. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing at the school. It's so organized. You're on top of everything. I can't believe it. It's like a pattern that every school should follow. So I really think you guys are doing an amazing job.
If I can just add too, the other thing that you didn't see and can't see is the great job the staff has done following the bouncing ball of state and federal regulations, which in normal times is almost impossible. But the changes that come in and the nuances and the calls from Patty and the team requesting clarification and getting advice from people, it's all of that background work results in filtering into the staff and saying, okay, here's what we digest all this to be, and here's where we're going. And by the way, be ready, there may be a change the next day.
Anybody else for questions or comments?
Yeah, first of all, just a comment. It's so incredible to see the different generations of the school here. You know, I look at Patty and Susan and Linda and Betty. I want to make sure, who are the foundations who started it, and then Steve and Lori, and I want to make sure not to forget anyone here, and David. There we go, David. Who are the foundations of the kind of next generation, and then how incredibly gratifying it is to see all of the talent and commitment as the school's gone on, as I've moved away geographically and all. But it's just incredible. And Abby, I sat in your seat for many years and Lori as a parent trustee, with both, seeing what goes on at the board level, but also living every day, the trials and tribulations of being a parent. So it's incredible. I mean, the talent from Kathleen and Patty and all, and the new generation of folks there. I've often thought, as I kind of sit here trying to help run a small company, and watching all of the parents with the chaos, as Gwen was saying, with students who are in regular schools, I'll say, and I've often thought all of the time, I just don't know how I could have ever done this as a parent during a pandemic. So my hat is off to the staff, to everybody here, but mostly the parents who are dealing with the health threats as well as all those restrictions. Is just remarkable. So just an observation there. I guess I would ask you, Patty, Have there been any cases of COVID at the school, either with the staff or the students? And clearly the students, I would guess, are at much higher risk. Have we had any kind of health threats or implications for the school or the school community?
So we've been very fortunate. Certainly, some of the students did not return on site because it wasn't advisable for them to do so. We required physician clearance, and some family members said it's not safe, and some physicians said it's not safe. So because of each individual student situation, so that's why 40 kids are still at home. But we have not, knock on wood, had an active case here at the school. We have had some quarantine activity with some of the staff, just to be on the safe side. And we had to close a classroom for one day because we were waiting for a test result on someone. It turned out to be negative, but just to be safe, we wanted to close that classroom down and convert back to virtual services for that day. And fortunately, we got the good answer back from the lab on that test. What's really interesting is, as Heather talked about the classroom suites, what that's allowed us to do is isolate the students and staff that work in a small group. So when we had that pending test, we only had to close one classroom. We didn't have to close the whole school for that day. We're hoping that kind of very strict adherence to small groups and limited mixing will allow us to minimize any possible spread and certainly any disruption.
And then one last question is, what has been the impact on both your increase in cost to deal with all of this, and then impact on revenues on the other side during the pandemic?
Yeah, so what's really interesting, March 16th or whatever it was, when we closed down, and all the schools in New Jersey did at the same time. What really also happened, the pipeline of referrals shut down temporarily. So while we graduated students, we didn't replace them as readily. So our tuition revenue's down, but our costs are up. We've done probably $20,000 in additional IT expense, $20,000 or $30,000 in personal protective equipment, and some other, like you saw the sneeze guard at the reception desk. Things like that, that were totally unexpected expenses. And now we're gradually seeing those referrals in all our programs start up again, but we're lower census than we would have wanted or expected in a normal year. Early intervention took a hit because people didn't want folks coming into the home, and not everybody was comfortable with remote services. So that was down to about 60% for a while. So we definitely are seeing a gap. We did some cost reductions, mostly on the staff side through attrition and voluntary furloughs for July and August. We've been very protective as a board to hold on to our valued staff and to give them the assurances that they need to, so that they can focus on the work and not have to worry about if they have a job the next day. But there's an expense that goes along with that. So we're balancing that. We're starting to see new referrals. So with that new tuition coming in, hopefully this year will be a reasonable year. It's going to be a difficult year though.
What steps would need to be taken, or what would need to change in order for us to increase to 4 or 5 days a week on site? And then also what considerations would be given to, I guess, stepping backwards and going back to more virtual, so I can plan ahead as cases seem to be surging all over with COVID.
Some of the, the New Jersey papers and the national news are full of, unfortunately, news of cases rising again. And so part of the decision that could get made at the county or the state level could be to limit on-site services or temporarily limit on-site services for a period of time. And we have flu season challenging us. So Right now, with the cases ticking up in the community and flu season upon us, I don't anticipate a fourth or fifth day in the very near future. But we're going to stay as agile as possible so that if the opportunity arises, we can do that. It's just, we do have some of our virtual students coming in for therapy, and we're glad for that as well. So it's in part a waiting game. It'll also be interesting to see what happens to community spread once a possible vaccine or treatments become available. It might not be a vaccine situation for our students right off the bat, or for some of them at all, but if community spread can be kept in check, then there's an opportunity to adjust our protocols and expand services.
So I guess, Patty, one of my questions, being in the biotech and a little bit of the middle of the vaccine and therapeutics, is are we kind of investing in, I don't know what the right, whether it's legal or to make sure that our staff is at the front of the line with the frontline workers to get a vaccine when it's approved? Again, I don't know whether children will be appropriate for the vaccine, but certainly you would think that all of the staff should be at the front of the line, along with hospital workers and all.
Right. So the state did act to make teachers and healthcare professionals essential personnel. So with that designation, we should be at the front of the line, or right behind the hospital workers and things like that. They haven't gotten to that level of detail in terms of sharing it, but that's the types of advocacy we're doing. And then on a simpler front, because the flu shot is so valuable and we want to minimize situations where symptoms make us worry about COVID when it might just be flu, Janet was great enough to bring a flu vaccination program on site so staff could have easy access to it. So we're doing what we can. And then the other thing that was just announced at the federal level is that rapid tests are being disseminated to the states for distribution, and schools are on that list. So we're trying to understand when that will happen and what the guidance associated with when and how we use those rapid tests might be. Obviously that's diagnostic rather than preventative, but another step in our protection. And we don't have those details yet. A lot of times we're asking the questions well before the details are available.
Thank you.
You are perhaps our best ambassadors out there, and we want you to know the great things that are happening, but the challenges that are happening. Well, I think I speak on behalf of everybody to say to not only be here with us together, it gives you a really good feeling that, we have a lot of support and we're sitting on the backs of giants. So thank you for being a part of it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all so much.